Hey folks, today we're going to be doing a video I've been wanting to do a long time, and we're going to title it The Complete Motorcycle Riding Guide. And this is for new motorcycle riders and beginner, intermediate, even advanced motorcycle riders. We're going to go through what I've wanted to share with you guys for a long time. There's a lot of wonderful videos on YouTube, but a lot of the videos just cover one thing: braking or shifting or countersteering. They don't encompass everything in one video. So we're going to try to do this as quick as possible. I'm going to talk very fast because I'm trying to cram everything into one video. Today's motorcycle training bike is the Yamaha R1. So if you can ride this bike, you could ride anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to get on, and before we do, let's go through some things real quick. Shifting is somewhat like going up and down a ladder. Excuse me, you have first gear, neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And then as you shift downward, you go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, neutral first. Notice neutral is in between first and second. So let's get on the bike, and then we'll adjust the camera as we start to go. Notice on most Japanese bikes, traditionally, everything on the right side has to do with going and stopping. So this is the throttle here, this is the front brake, and down here by my foot is the rear brake. The left side traditionally has to do with shifting. Clutch lever goes in, and then you shift into whatever gear you want, and then you release the clutch lever, and then you roll back onto throttle. So before we start the motorcycle, check it out. Here's the steps. So let's say you're riding and you want to shift, right? You're going to release the throttle here on the right, pull the clutch lever in, kick up into second gear, third gear, whatever gear you want to kick up in or down in. Then once you're in gear, then and only then do you release the clutch lever, and then you can brake or roll back onto throttle. You'll be braking if you're downshifting, and you'll roll back onto throttle if you are upshifting. So let's go ahead and adjust the camera here. We're going to adjust a little upward because, as you notice, I'm leaning forward here. So when we lean forward, we want to, I think that's about right, huh? Maybe a little higher. Now, we're going to talk to you about braking also. And braking, you don't just apply the brake real hard. You want to slowly squeeze it as if you're squeezing orange, so to speak. And you know what? One more thing, and then we're going to get started. Let's go through the gauges. Trying to do this as quick as possible. This right here is the starter over here. You're going to turn the key right here, and I'll show you some stuff. By the way, this is the kill switch right here. This is killing the battery power. I clicked that. Notice the bike hasn't started, but it now has battery power. I'm going to turn the key. The gauges come to life. You have the tachometer here, speedometer here, turn signals here, the horn here, and then we have the starter here. Give it a few revs. We're going to close the visor because we're going to be going at speeds. So now we're going to cover countersteering, and we're going to go right into how to shift. Let me pull up here a bit. So we're going to just inch up right here to this driveway real quick for a little intermediate course. Clutch in, kick down. Notice my brake's still on, okay? So then, I think we're going to adjust the camera a little higher too. Slowly let the clutch out while giving it throttle on the right. I still have the clutch a little bit out. Now I pull the clutch lever back in. Notice clutch lever's in, and I am holding it with the front brake. So let's get over here like this. We're going to let the clutch lever out. Watch, slightly kick up from first. The neutral light goes on right here. And now I can let go of the, the brake. So let's adjust the camera, and now we're going to show you braking and countersteering. Here we go. Okay. So we're going to let these cars come real quick so we can go. So Countersteering, you need to learn this or you're going to crash. We have a corner coming up here to the right. It's a sharp right-hand corner. So when you're going at high speed, what you're going to do is you're going to pull back towards you on the left handlebar. That's going to lean the bike to the right and turn to the right. So let's wait for this darn slow truck to go, and then we'll go. And then if you want to go to the left, when you're going around a left corner, if you're going at high speed, you're going to pull back on the right-hand corner, sometimes push forward on the left, and that'll lean the bike into the corner you want to go. So here we go. Slowly let the clutch out while giving it throttle. Watch this. We're in first. Remember the ladder I told you about? Release throttle, clutch in, kick up to second, release clutch lever on the left hand, roll back onto throttle. Now we're in second. First gear and second gear are really the most cautious. You got to be a little careful on those when you're new. So we're in second. Watch this. Release throttle, clutch in, kick up to third, release clutch lever on my left hand, roll back onto throttle. Look at the sign. Speed limit 35. We're going to be going to the right here. So watch this. We just went up to fourth gear. Watch what we're going to do. What I'm going to do is pull back towards me on the left handlebar. Watch the signs. Make sure you have this on full screen, by the way. Here we go. Okay, so notice I'm just coasting now. I'm not really having to give it throttle. On 2, I'm going to pull back on the left. 1, 2. By pulling back on the left, see how it leans the bike to the right. And you just kind of hold it there all the way around the corner. Now we have one going to the left. So what would you do? You're going to pull back on the right. Get the camera adjusted here. You're going to pull back on the right handlebar on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm taking it a little slower pace so you can see it, but watch this. And then you just hold it there as you're going through the corner. See, at slower speeds you can lean the bike left and right, but at faster speeds you're going to need to learn countersteering. I highly suggest a YouTube channel called Moto Madness. I have nothing to do with the channel. It's not my channel, but it's a great channel to see some accidents captured on GoPro, and you could learn from these mistakes. So now we're coming to a stop. Watch this, or maybe not. Let's see. No, I'm just going to downshift, pulling back on the right, leaning into it on the left, and we take that left corner. So we're going to show you how to brake in a moment. So we're upshifting again. Watch how we upshift. Release the throttle now, clutch in, kick up, release the clutch lever on the left, roll back onto throttle. Countersteering. Pull back on the left handlebar just a little bit. See how it's pushing it into the corner. Here's another one here. Watch this. On count of 3, we're going to pull back on the left. Watch the yellow line. 1, 2, 3. That's how it does it. Now, you have a left corner coming up here. What are you going to do? Think about it. What are you going to do? You're going to pull back on the right on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're moping along, going really slow, you'll find that you can actually lean into the corner. At higher speeds, you're not going to be able to do that. See, the bike weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And when you're going at a higher speed, you just can't force all that weight into a corner. You're going to have to countersteer. Now, when you countersteer, and I'm going to show you how to countersteer, you can practice even when you're going straight. What it does is it manipulates the weight of the bike and shifts the weight back and forth. So let's get on the straightaway here, right here. Now watch this. When I pull back on the right, it brings me to the left. When I pull back on the left, notice it brings me to the right. So you could practice countersteering even on a straightaway. You really have to practice that, or you're basically could crash and die or get maimed. So let's pick up some speed here. This guy is turning left, so thank God we're in a motorcycle. We're going to squeeze by here. Okay, let's watch this countersteering here. Pull back on the left, see how we move to the right. Pull back on the right, see how we move to the left. Make sure there's no police behind you or whatever when you're doing that, because they're going to think you're drunk or something. So go out on a big stretch of a road like this where no one's around and practice that. Pull back on the left, you go to the right, pull back on the right, you go to the left. You get the idea. Let's talk about braking. Your rear brake does very little to stop you. The only time I use the rear brake by itself is if I'm going real slow and I'm downshifting and I'm coming up to a stop sign and I really don't need to brake, or a traffic light. I'll just kind of rest my right foot here on the rear brake and that'll sort of slow it down. So we're going to talk about braking, and we're going to show you how to brake, but let's talk about what type of motorcycle you should get. This is very important. You're going to get a lot of advice. I'm also giving you advice, but my advice is good advice. But you're going to get a lot of advice, excuse me, what type of motorcycle to get. Don't listen to the advice. What you want to do is get a motorcycle based on where you're going to be riding. If you're going to be going on the freeways long distance, do you think you want a little 250 or 300 motorcycle? 300cc motor, 250? No! You're going to want like a 500cc, 600, something like that. Pull back on the right on 2, 1, 2. This is a very sharp countersteer right there. You definitely need to know how to do countersteering on that one. Pull back on the right and we lean into the left corner there. So get a motorcycle based on where you're going to ride it. This is all common sense, guys. If you're in a windy area, do you think you want a little light bike that's going to be blown around with the wind? No, you're going to want something heavy. Like I had a Suzuki Katana. Click below this video and you can see my review of that bike. It's a sport bike, touring bike, more for like long distance, high speed freeways. You could even bring it in the mountains or even roads like this, but it's heavy. So when the wind blows, it doesn't really give you that much of a problem. You're able to just go through the wind. And also the Katana is a very inexpensive bike for a first-time rider. You can get them real cheap, even in California where it's very expensive. They're like used $1,500, $2,000, you know, for a nice looking one. All right, let's get the camera situated here. Notice we really haven't had to brake a lot, and what we've been doing is going up and down the ladder, the shifting ladder. Now remember, you have second, neutral, first, which means if you slightly tap up from first, you'll feel it with your foot. This is the part that always confuses people. If you slightly tap up from first, you'll be in neutral. If you just move your foot up the metal shifter, the gear shifter on the left-hand side, and you move it up till you feel metal, now you're in second. But if you slightly move it, you'll feel like you've moved it out of gear and you've gone from first to neutral. If you're in neutral, the same thing applies. If you slightly tap down from if you're in second, the same thing applies. If you slightly tap down from second, you'll be in neutral. Just a slight tap down, you'll be in neutral. You're going to spend a lot of your time, if you're in the city, in those three gears, first, neutral, second, although neutral is argued that it's not even a gear, but you get the idea. You'll be going from first, neutral, second, first, neutral, second, first, neutral, second, third, you know, back and forth as you are in city driving. As you're going from traffic light to traffic light, you'll be doing that. If you're at a light and the light's going to change real fast, like let's say you get there and you could tell the light's going to change real fast, you can keep it in first and just hold the clutch lever in and just hold it. Man, these bumps are just atrocious. And just hold that clutch in, and then when the light turns, you can go ahead and you could immediately just take off. Now we're going to be going to some very twisty roads. We're going to show you how to approach it at a more advanced pace. And now finally, thank God in heaven, we're going to show you how to brake. So what I'm doing is I'm downshifting, notice, not braking yet, downshifting. Now I'm slowly squeezing the front brake, downshifting again, slightly, notice I'm in neutral if you can see that, coasting into first. Now I'm moving, so watch this, first gear, release throttle, clutch clutch in, kick up to second, release the clutch lever. You always release the throttle over here on the right in between shifts. So it's release throttle, clutch in, kick into the gear you want, up or down. Then once you're in gear, then and only then do you release the clutch lever. When you're downshifting, what you're going to do is you're not even going to use the throttle. You're just, I mean, if you're coming to a stop, now watch this, panic stop here, so to speak, downshifting, slightly downshift from second, I'm in neutral. Very important, I'm glad we got that stop. You want to keep your handlebars straight at all time. If your handlebars are slightly crooked when you come to a stop, and that light's red up there, so I'm not going to zoom up to it and stop. We want it to be green. But if you come to a stop and your handlebars are crooked, what you're going to do is you're going to fall. All the weight of the bike is going to move to the right or the left, depending on where you have your handlebars. And that's why you see these guys, I've seen them before, where they get to a light, they put the brakes on, and then they fall over because all the weight is one side or the other to the bike. Now watch this. We're in neutral going real slow. I kick down to first. That's very rare. You're not going to kick down to first unless you're going like at a snail's pace. So now let's go to the other part, the twisties, at a more advanced pace. We're in third gear, fourth gear. Now this is a gradual corner, so here you are going to lean. Watch this. I'm just leaning, but at the top of the hill, I'm probably going to use countersteering. Notice we're in fourth gear. We're going up a steep hill. I don't know if you can tell that on the GoPro. Now over here on count of two, we're going to pull back on the right. 1, 2. See how it does it? Just practice that countersteering. I mean, you'll get really good at it. And we're coming up to the more advanced twisties where I'm going to show you that. So we're going to upshift to fifth. Let's see if this light catches us. It's not going to catch us. But if the light turned, I would just go through the yellow because you don't have to jam the brakes on through every light. If it's yellow, it's safer oftentimes to go through it. I like to time the lights. Notice it's red, so I'll downshift and then I'll just roll back onto throttle. After a while, it gets kind of tedious, you going up to the light, jamming the brakes on, and then going again. Sometimes you just sit back, watch the light, and try to time it to where you can go through it green, green, green the whole time. Another thing too, if you can see this, I don't know if you can see this, look at if you can see my helmet. I have a drop-down visor. Oh, hold on. I had one eye on the, now I downshifted all the way down, 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 and then when I stopped, I was in first. But I have one eye on the mirror trying to see if I can show you my helmet, and one eye on the light, thank goodness. First gear, let's go through it. Second gear. Third gear. So let's go back to this, see if you can see my helmet. I have a drop-down visor. I'm going to move this like this real slow. Built in to my helmet. It's a drop-down sunshade, I should say. And it's great because you can just drop down that sunshade and you can basically have let's go over here. You can drop down that sunshade and you basically can have total shade without having to replace your visor. It's great. You don't want to have two visors where you have to replace the visor and then put the other visor on and all that jazz. With this, you could just have one visor. It's great. Okay, another thing I wanted to show you, and I forgot to show you this, so I'm just going to stop for a second, is you can get these ram mounts, and let's see if I can put the kickstand down here. And with these ram mounts, you can fasten your cell phone here, and then you can put it on GPS, and you actually can have it guide you certain areas where you don't have to be looking at a map each time. So we're going to follow this this map, and it's going to take us to some extremely twisty roads, and let's see where it takes us. Here we go. Okay, so we have a stop sign coming up. Let's show you how to brake. We haven't really done a lot of that, and we're about a few miles or so from our destination. So what I'm going to do is I'm slowly squeezing the front brake and the rear brake while downshifting, and now I'm in neutral. My left foot goes down. You want to get a habit of your left foot going down. Notice how the handlebars are straight. What I do is I go 5, 4, 3, 2, neutral. I always kind of stop in neutral unless there's cars behind me. I'll stop in neutral, I'll hurry and put it in first. We're in first now. Slowly let the clutch out. Spend a lot of time practicing on first. Slowly let the clutch out while giving it throttle. Keep letting the clutch out while you keep giving it smooth throttle. We're in first. Watch this. Release throttle, clutch in, kick up to second, release clutch lever, roll back on. One more time. Release throttle, pull the clutch lever in, then you kick into gear while you're still holding the clutch lever, and once it's in gear, then and only then do you release the clutch lever. So it's release throttle, pull the clutch lever in, kick into the gear you want, and then and only then, it wanted me to go right there. Let's see if it changes. Then and only then do you release the clutch lever. Okay, good. It's telling us to go this way. Now, imagine you have this shift lever. You can put your foot under the shift lever or on top of the shift lever. It's like a little piece of metal that's sticking out, like a little peg. When you want to shift downward, you hold your toe on top of the peg and you just kick down. Remember the ladders. You're in 6th gear, 5, 4, 3, 2, neutral first. Downshifting, front brake, downshifting. Wow, that guy, he doesn't have a stop sign. Okay. First gear, release throttle, clutch in, kick up to second, release clutch lever. Now, gear is important also. Try to get like a mesh jacket or a textile jacket. I like mesh. If you look closely at this, see how it's there's little holes in it, so as I'm going, air is actually blowing through the jacket. Okay, we're going to go right here. It tells us. And now it's taking us to the more advanced pace here. Another thing too, remember we're trying to do this video as fast as possible. We're cramming as much as into it as never ever put your front brake on while going around a corner. Like right here, you see this? You do not want to put your front brake on. You can put it on now, but then let go of it before you go around the corner. All right, we're about 1 mile away from the good street. Should be there fast. You ever see these videos on YouTube like Moto Madness I was telling you about? Go to MOTO and then Madness, MADNESS. And go to Moto Madness and you'll see some of my videos are there. I don't have any crashing videos, but some of my videos are there featured just interesting things I've caught on GoPro while riding. And you'll see some guys crashing with their GoPro on. So you are getting a first-person video of them crashing. And it's good to learn from, you know, these videos of why did they crash? What made them crash? More often than not, and this is just my opinion, more often than not, it's the countersteering issue, where they're going around a corner and they approach it too fast and they just don't know how to countersteer, and then they crash. So we're going to spend some time on the countersteering issue, and 3 more lights and then we're into the advanced area of Twisties. Now, the area I'm going to take you, if you're a new rider, you're definitely going to crash there. Not that it's difficult, but there's so many corners, and if someone's not used to countersteering, it's like Russian roulette. Sooner or later, you're going to crash. Now, I just downshifted to second. Some bikes are different, like the speed I'm going at now, like 40. Some bikes, like the Ninja 250, you'll be in like 4th or 5th, you'll be in a higher gear. This bike, you can go like 60 in like 2nd gear, so the higher the CCs of the bike, everything being equal, the higher the CCs, the more power it's going to have where it doesn't wind out a lot. So if you're going to be on the freeway and you're just going to be going straight, you're going to want a bike, with more power. I'm just being honest with you. You're going to feel safer on a 600 on the freeway than you are in a 250. So this is it. This is it. Let's see here. Downshifting. This guy's like going into my lane. See if we can get in front of the pack here. Is this going to merge to one? Let's see. This is still 2 lanes. Woohoo! All right, we got in front of the pack. We have the pole position. Good. No one's really in front of us for a ways, so I can show you some stuff. So like I said, get a motorcycle based on where you're going to ride it. So let's go through this. If you're going to be riding on the freeways long distance, what bike makes more sense? A 600 or a 250 or 300? A 600, right? Exactly. You're going to feel safer on a 600 on the freeway as a newer rider than on a 250 or 300. I'm just saying, you pull the throttle back and nothing happens on those bikes at those higher speeds. You're going to want something with some meat on its bones, some power. All right, so we got a corner here coming up to the right. We're going to countersteer, to the left. What are we going to do? Pull back on the right on the count of 2. 1, 2. That wasn't too bad of a corner, so we really didn't have to use countersteering there. Okay, if you're in an area where it's a lot of twisties, do you want a heavier bike or a lighter bike? You're going to want a lighter bike. Then Ninja 250, Ninja 300 is awesome for those areas. Click right below this video. You can see me going through the twisties on a Ninja 250 and other bikes also as we review. I'm going to put a bunch of bike videos below this one so you can see different motorcycles that you may want to get. Okay, red light here, so watch this. I just turned green. I'm slowly going to take my hand off the throttle. I'm downshifting because we're going uphill. I'll downshift one more time. I'll downshift again because we're moping along here. Downshift again. I like to keep the motor tight. I like to have it above at least 3,000 or 4,000. So when I pull back on the throttle like this, see how it just goes. But if I'm at a higher gear and I pull back the throttle, it's going to go, but you're not going to really have that get up and go like you do when you're at the higher end of the tack. Pull back on the left. It's countersteering there. Here's one here. You're going to pull back on the right. I could actually lean it because even though it says 50, this guy's like moping along so slow. Sometimes if I get on the left, they move over. Oh, yeah, he's doing it. Is he or is he? Thank you, brother. Look at that donkey on the right. See it? Just they have these wild donkeys over here. They're totally wild. No one owns them. And you got to be careful coming around these corners. They can make an ass out of you. All right. What are you going to do here? You're going to pull back on the right, aren't you? I apologize about these cars being in front of us. If you're in, let's say, an area with a lot of hills, up and down the hill, you're going to need something with some power, aren't you? Something with torque would be good. You know the SV, S as in Sam, V as in Victory 650 or SV 1000. It's like a V-twin sport bike. And it's got great torque. Really good for like going up and down these hills. Freeway riding, trust me, you're going to want a windscreen. If you're going to be going the freeways, you must have a windscreen. It gets so, you know, tiresome of that wind hitting you as you're on the freeway. You're going to need a windscreen. Fortunately, even these naked bikes, as they call them, you can get windscreens on them. Okay, downshift again. What else can I tell you? Gloves, get really good gloves. I really like these gloves. They're called Tai Chi, T-A-I-C-H-I. Check them out on eBay or Amazon. I don't get anything for telling you about it. I'm not an affiliate or whatever, but they're very good quality. I had these a while, and you can get them where they match the color of your bike. Like I have a black and white motorcycle. I like that it's black and white gloves. Big Five Sporting Goods is a great place if you don't want to break the bank. For boots, they have high top boots, but what I like about them is they zip on the side by the ankle, yet they're lace up, so you can just unzip it and then, you know, put your foot in it rather than having to unlace it and lace it or buckle it and unbuckle it all the way up. The zipper on the side does make it. See that donkey we just passed on the right? The zipper on the side does make it convenient. What are these like dangerous obstacles of donkeys? What else can I tell you? Earplugs. They have these little, let's see if I have one in here. Oh, I do. Good. I could show you this. So check this out. See this little sponge earplug here? They have these little sponge earplugs you can get at Walmart or any hardware store, Home Depot or whatever, and they're great. They silence the sound. I have those earplugs on right now, and it makes the ride more enjoyable. You don't really need it for like areas like this, but for freeway riding, you're going to need it. Now watch this. We're downshifting. I don't know if there's a green arrow here. Now I'm just using the rear brake, first gear. Look at that guy with like an Evel Knievel. Oh, wait a minute. See if I can get around this guy. Dang it. I really want to get around. Oh, is he letting me? You can never tell. I don't think he's going to let me. Coming up this corner here. If this guy wasn't in front of me, and again, I apologize, we're going to pull back on the left. But go ahead and check out Moto Madness. Much more exciting videos than this one with the crashing video. But notice, you can even take these corners one-handed as you get better. We're going to take it one-handed here. Can't shift one-handed. But notice we're at about 4,000 RPM on the tack. So God bless you guys. Drive safe. We talked about countersteering. We talked about braking. Always keep your wheels straight when you're braking. Never, ever, under any circumstances, do you put your front brake on. Like right now, you would not want to put your front brake on going around this corner. Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances do you want to do that. Always keep your wheels straight when you're coming to a stop so you don't fall over. Get a helmet. They have all types of helmets with the drop-down visor. I personally like the Scorpion EXO. The helmet I have on right now is awesome. It has this thing in the chin. It's like you pump it like a pump, like a little. It's like a little balloon, and you pump it, and then by the cheek area, it forms around your cheeks to really give you a snug fit, and it blocks out almost all the wind noise. So God bless you guys. Enjoy yourself. Ride safe. Remember, 4 wheels may move the body, but 2 moves the soul. Have a great week.